What's up, people of YouTube? I'm Karsatowski and welcome to the Karsatowski Eats YouTube channel. So, chicken tenders. They're on almost every menu in almost every fast food restaurant that serves chicken. You know, they're very easy to eat. They're just pretty good sized strips of chicken with no bones. And you know, they're usually cooked perfectly golden brown, and there's just something about them that you can't get enough of. Now, obviously, I think the two best chicken tender places by far are Zaxby's and Raising Cane's. Now, unfortunately, we don't have those here today. However, we have two different restaurants that for some reason have not had chicken tenders for a very long time, but you know, over the last several months, they both have. And we have KFC and Wendy's. And did you know that way back in the day when Wendy's and KFC were becoming a thing, that Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, and Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC, actually knew each other? Well, today, the Colonel and Mr. Thomas come back again to see who has the best chicken tenders. Okay, so now we have first up as Wendy's. Now, the Wendy's tenders have come out not too long ago, and here they are right here. They are both pretty fresh, by the way. I got these both not too long ago, and nice, perfectly cooked golden brown tender. You notice the breading on these is a bit chunky for the most part, and it's a very typical breading for your restaurants, such as I know that Frisch's used to do that before a lot of them closed down, and a lot of your like cheaper restaurants like Dairy Queen and Sonic Drive-In have a lot of this same breading recipe. In my opinion, it's a really basic and cheap recipe to bread your tenders with, but looking at these tenders, pretty flaky with white meat, and you know, even though that this is like the standard like really cheap breading for tenders, it's all about the quality. And let's see if Wendy's has the quality for their tenders. Okay. And about what you would expect. They're a little dry, not very juicy, but they are cooked perfectly. Again, my big problem is the breading. I feel like they could have gone a little bit more creative with it because there's just nothing really special about it. It's just this weird clump breading that gives it a very weird texture and doesn't really give it a pop and flavor. But it's a good tender. It is nice. Again, nothing too terribly special about it, but it's a definite solid tender. And I definitely feel like that Wendy's tenders are for sure better than like Sonic and Dairy Queen, like I mentioned before. Like those places have like the bottom tier of fast food. Like they do not have very good fast food at all, which is kind of the reason why I've never reviewed those two restaurants before in terms of their food, but that might be a future video for their other treats that they have. And now we move on to the Colonel himself, Colonel Harlan Sanders, with his tenders. Now, this tender looks very different from Wendy's. You can see it's got more of the classic dark-ish brown breading that you normally would see with the thighs, legs, and breasts that they have at KFC. And I can tell this has a pretty decent amount of grease in it, and this is much more difficult to pull apart as opposed to Wendy's. And you can already see that nice white meat in there, and I can tell that it's more juicy than Wendy's. So let's see if this is any better. Extremely different. These tenders cannot be any more different. Now, it's tenders, so the overall meat is pretty much going to be the same with that nice white flaky meat that tenders usually have, but the breading is completely different. It's their original recipe, wrapped up into a tender. It's much more juicy than Wendy's. It doesn't taste overcooked at all. A lot of people don't generally like KFC due to the fact that they have so much grease in it, but honestly, the tenders don't have near as much grease in them. So if you want chicken from KFC, but you don't want to get all of the oils and grease from it, then the tenders are a good way to go. Very nice. Now, do I think that KFC has the best tenders out of anybody? Absolutely not. It's not like Raising Cane's or Zaxby's level, like I mentioned earlier. But is it one of the better ones I've had? Yes, absolutely it is. So that's why I'd have to say that overall, KFC's tenders are probably a solid 8.5. I would have to give Wendy's at least a solid 7 because they're not bad. These are just like a very average tender, and you know, yeah, these just make me feel like Wendy's could have done a bit better because they've got, in my opinion, some of the best chicken nuggets out of anybody, and they've got some pretty good burgers. Like their Baconators, they're some of the best hamburgers that you can get out of most fast food places. But the tenders, I just feel like fall a little bit flat. So, and no pun intended, like this is a literally flat tender. But anyway, I just think that KFC, like the quality carries over to all of their pieces of chicken as compared to Wendy's, where I feel like they faltered just a little bit in the tenders department. So there you go. That is Wendy's versus KFC. Not a whole lot to see here. I was actually really surprised going into it because I thought they would be a lot closer in quality and taste overall, but KFC just has that classic original taste even to its tenders. And Wendy's, you can do a little bit better job. Maybe get that breading recipe a little bit better, and then maybe next time you release a product like that, it can actually compete with KFC. Well, there you have it, guys. So if you want to see any of my other videos, then go ahead and check out the playlists in the description below of all my other fast food rankings and all that stuff. And if you are brand new to the channel and you don't want to miss any more of my videos, then be sure to hit that subscribe button down below for all of the content that you can desire. So, I am Karsatowski, and keep watching my content, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya!